Not so long ago, Ford was the first company to announce a radical cut that would delete passenger cars from the lineup almost entirely. The management decided to focus on SUVs, trucks, and electric cars, so it's no surprise that many experts believe that the Blue Oval Company would be the first one of the big three to give up on the segment that was doomed from the moment sustainability became a top priority of the automotive industry. But the unique combination of circumstances brought a different outcome. Chevy Camaro is dead, while Dodge is now working on a fully electrified Charger and Challenger. On the other hand, Mustang is coming all new for 2024, and it doesn't get any sort of electrification or forced induction. No, it remains faithful to its original nature, and that's why we highly recommend you to stay with us as we dive into the newest iteration of the world's most iconic muscle car, because it may be the last one. For nearly 6 decades, Mustang has been one of the icons of the American automotive industry. Attractive and powerful, but reasonably priced at the same time, it's been a performance car for the masses, the perfect opportunity for the working class to enjoy pure V8 muscle. The latest, the 7th generation, hasn't changed that approach. Moreover, it borrowed many parts from the previous model, particularly in terms of the chassis and mechanics in general. On the other hand, as an all-new model, it brings fresh styling, which once again combines modern and retro in such a nice way. Once again, you can easily notice Mustang essentials in various areas of the vehicle, which still resembles the original model from the 60s. At the same time, it looks more modern and more aggressive than the previous model, thanks to the sharper lines of both front and rear-end designs. Once again, Ford designers created a Mustang that looks fresh, but can't be mistaken for any other sports car. What's also worth mentioning is that each version of Mustang, and there are 3 of them, EcoBoost, GT, and Dark Horse, comes with a pretty distinctive look. When you look at the front end of the GT, it shares nothing but headlights with the base EcoBoost. The grille is different, the air intakes are bigger, while there are also new hood extractor vents, a thing that many believed would remain reserved for the track-focused Dark Horse. Still, some things are common for both EcoBoost and GT, including that both models will once again be offered not just as fastbacks, but also in a convertible body style. The Mustang GT has always been the entrance to the world of 8 cylinders, and thank God, nothing changes with the 7th generation. The offer once again starts with the small Turbo 4 EcoBoost, but the real deal starts with the Coyote. The well-known V8 has been in use for generations and gained a status of a legend. It has never been the most powerful or best-sounding V8 around, but it was always a reliable and easy-to-work-on companion. That's why many consider it one of the best engines Ford has ever made. Now, it gets a couple of really nice touches and becomes better than ever. For example, the latest version of this 5-liter V8 gets a dual throttle body and dual air intakes to improve airflow and overall efficiency. Also new are oil pan, exhaust cams, and left side exhaust manifold, and all that results in 30 horses more compared to the previous generation. Instead of 450, the new 2024 Mustang GT features 480 horsepower, while max torque goes up to 415 pound-feet. The engine sounds better than ever and revs higher than before, with the peak power at 7,150 and the red line at 7,500 RPMs. Things can get even more impressive if you opt for the active valve exhaust. You get 6 more horsepower and an even better exhaust note. Logically, the new model is also slightly quicker, with the 0 to 60 estimated to go around 4 seconds with the manual gearbox. In both cases, the engine comes in a pair with familiar transmissions. Of course, there is the familiar 10-speed automatic, but we are pretty sure that most enthusiasts will go for the manual. The only problem is that, for some reason, Ford decided to carry on with the Getrag 6-speed unit from the previous generation, which isn't exactly the highest reputable gearbox among Mustang lovers. It's not the smoothest manual gearbox around, and more importantly, it tends to break more often than a typical manual transmission, and that's why we feel a little bit disappointed that Ford didn't decide to install the Tremec unit instead. The much better TR3160 will remain exclusive to the Dark Horse. If you are not familiar with the Dark Horse moniker, that's because it has just been added to the lineup with the 7th generation. It is a track-focused version of the new Mustang that, besides the aforementioned Tremec transmission, also features a slightly upgraded Coyote engine with a max output of 500 horsepower. But this model isn't about power. It is a new breed of Mustang that puts focus on handling and agility, so notable suspension upgrades don't surprise. The same is with the limited slip rear differential, which is also part of the standard equipment. Now let's get back to the beloved GT and check its chassis, suspension setup, and overall performance. Developing a completely new internal combustion car doesn't make much sense in today's world of rapid electrification, so it doesn't surprise that the all-new Mustang uses the same architecture as the previous generation. The chassis and suspension are pretty much the same, just like the wheelbase, and we don't think that's a big issue, because it's not the first time to see a new Mustang relying on the design of its predecessors. After all, no one ever cared about the fact that the Dodge Challenger used a chassis from the 20th century, because it was always able to deliver what's expected from a muscle car. The same is with the new Mustang, which indeed feels familiar behind the wheel. Still, times have changed, and Ford's icon doesn't compete with Camaro and Challenger anymore. No. The new model will compete with Japanese sports cars, such as Acura Integra, Toyota Supra, or Nissan 400Z. Some of these models may lack Mustang's charisma, and others may lack power, but all of them feature superior chassis setups with a way better handling than the Mustang. That's why the new generation received some subtle updates, especially in the GT Performance Pack, which brings stiffer suspension, Brembo brakes, wider wheels, and a limited slip rear differential. The GT Premium package brings additional upgrades in the form of MagnaRide and adaptive dampers. Unfortunately, the steering remains the biggest issue, along with the aforementioned manual gearbox. Although the company claims that the power steering ratio has been quickened from 16:1 to 15.5:1, and its control software has been reworked to improve feedback, you still can't feel what's happening on the road in the way you would expect from a sports car. And that's a bit of a shame because the new model does feel a little sharper in corners. But let's be fair, Mustang has never been a perfect car. If it has, it would cost way more. The beauty of Mustang is that it's great where it has to be. There is attractive styling, genuine naturally aspirated V8 power, and excellent sonic features. There is, of course, the drama factor, and finally, the heritage, which is something most of today's rivals will never have. Throughout Mustang's long history, we always knew what to expect in terms of interior design. A classic dual-brow dashboard design, complemented mostly by cheap materials and a bunch of randomly ordered gauges, has always been Mustang's thing, and we actually liked it. Now, it looks like Ford wants to attract younger buyers, to form a completely new generation of Mustang lovers. For that reason, changes on the inside are quite radical. The first thing you'll notice is that the old analog gauges are gone. Now, you get a pair of massive screens, a 12.4-inch digital instrument cluster, and a 13.2-inch touchscreen. The materials and build quality seem to be improved over the previous generation, while there are also a couple of nice touches, such as the optional electronic drift brake that looks like the classic mechanical one. With most of the base design characteristics carried over from the previous generation, it's kinda logical that some old issues are still there. In terms of the interior design, that mostly reflects to the rear seats, which are equally tight as in the previous model, which isn't something you would expect from a vehicle of this size that weighs 2 tons. Staying in this game costs, even in this case, where the new Mustang heavily relies on its predecessor. All these fine tunings cost, so be prepared to pay more than for the previous generation. While the outgoing GT featured a starting price of around $39,000, the new 2024 Ford Mustang GT has already been announced with a sticker price that goes a little bit over $43,000. Of course, let's not forget a couple of optional packages, including the ones that add new exhaust and upgraded suspension. With them, the new GT can easily get to the $50K mark. Some would say that's too much for a Mustang, but in today's world where the legendary pony has remained the last of its kind, all we can do is appreciate Ford's efforts to keep this icon alive. What do you think about the new Mustang GT? Is it still an ultimate V8 bargain, or maybe not anymore? Can Ford gain a whole new generation of Mustang lovers with the new high-tech interior? Is this the last version of Mustang we know? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you soon.